Hi, I'm Derek, and today I'll be reviewing my Salsa Warbird single speed conversion and my thoughts on how it's riding so far. So I wanted to make this video because as I was building this bike, I didn't really see anyone who had made the Salsa single speed conversion. I wasn't sure what components people use or how they were able to make it single speed without the horizontal dropouts. I know that there are other options like the All City Nature Boy and the Salsa Storm Chaser that are built specifically to be ridden single speed, but I hadn't seen anyone do it from the Warbird frame yet. So I was gifted this Warbird frame from my fiance when we got engaged, and I decided rather than make a cool geared bike, I wanted to make just a badass single speed. So in order to make the Warbird single speed, I used a Surly singulator. Rather than using an eccentric bottom bracket or the wide industry hub, the singulator was a good option because it allowed me still to tension the chain, but I didn't have to worry about those other components. Especially knowing that I was going to upgrade the wheel set to the Zip 303 Firecrest, I knew that I wanted something that could easily swap wheels in and out. So onto the other parts of the build. I am running an asymmetric chainring, which I'll get into my thoughts on that in a little bit. So the components that I used to build this bike, starting with the cockpit, I used Whiskey components there. Aluminum stem, carbon handlebars, carbon seat post, topped with a Brooks cab name saddle. I have a Easton E90 SL crankset with an oval ring, and again, the Surly singulator in back. As I said, I decided to change out the DT Swiss wheels for the Zip 303 Firecrest. Most incredible wheels that I've ever used. Incredibly light. Every time I'm bombing down a gravel hill, it feels extremely compliant. I've never felt more secure given a frame set and wheel set than I have with this bike. So one thing that you probably won't see on many single speeds is the shifters and brakes that I used. I decided to go with the GRX 810. Partially because they feel awesome when you're riding. They've got a bulkier brake lever and the hoods feel nice. But then also knowing that in case I ever do want to convert this back into gears, I've got a great group already there. So now to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the bike so far and what I've thought from racing it. This bike is awesome. I use it for everything. I use it on gravel races. I use it on group rides, for just cruising around the streets. The tires are fantastic. I wanted to go with something slick so that most of the stuff I do ride is in the city. So to have something that is a little bit more smooth riding was important to me. Lowering the pressure, I haven't had any issues with traction during races. The only time I notice it is on really steep hills where maybe I'll get a slip if I'm standing and cranking the pedals too hard. The wheel set is phenomenal. I've never had a wheel set quite like these. They feel like they cut through the air. Every time that I stand on the pedal, I just feel like there's nothing holding me back. It just takes off with any effort that I put into it. The handlebars, I'm not a fan of having a lot of flare. I went for the middle selection on the Whiskey handlebars for this, which is a good choice for me. It provides a little bit of flare, but not like the cow chippers. You've got a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more hand positions, but all in all, it's still a pretty neutral handlebar. The Salsa Warbird frame is so comfortable, so stable. You know, I read into kind of what makes a gravel bike, and that stability and going long, straight distances is what they're built for. And man, it does that great. I'm not the most confident bike handler. I'm much better than I used to be, but it's one of those things where now on gravel, it's, you know, you don't even think about it. It's going down a hill, going in technical areas. You just feel comfortable and you feel safe the whole time. This will be the third type of bike that I've raced on gravel. I've also used the Felt Breed, Cannondale Super X, and none of them even bat an eye to kind of the confidence that this bike gives me. I would say the one thing that I'm still figuring out on this bike is a little bit of skippage going on in the chain, particularly when climbing steep hills. Anyone who's done a gravel race knows that occasionally you're on a steep hill and you get an obstacle or rut in the road, and sometimes your cadence goes down to 60 RPM and you just kind of have to grind your way up. It seems like for this bike, It might be the angle at which the chain is, it may be something with the oval ring and singulator, but occasionally if I'm in a really low cadence, I'll get the chain to almost catch a tooth, almost like a bad shift on a geared bike. So not really sure what's going on there. It's something I'm working on figuring out. So all in all, so glad that I decided to make this single speed conversion. Again, the most fun I've ever had on a bike. I absolutely love this thing. I feel fast on it. I feel comfortable on every gravel ride I go on, and I really can't wait to take it out on more adventures. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you're at all interested in more adventures on this bike, races going on, and other biking content.